do it to this computer. All right, we are recording, and I'm gonna let people in because it is,
Have you emailed the link anywhere?
emailed it? I emailed it to Victor.
Can you?
Hey, Kevin.
Hi.
Do you want me to?
Can you put it in the Gmail, in the Google? Can you text me the link? Hi, Kevis. Can you text me the link, the Zoom link?
Hold on. What is that with the dog? Is that you, Kevis?
Yes,
Can
that's
you?
my dog. I'm going to mute my.
Okay. What was I doing? I can't remember.
I need the link, the Zoom link.
Sorry. Oh my gosh. You want me to, I'm going to send it to you in Hangouts. You got it?
Thank you. That's what I needed. I'm up north.
Away from all those.
Oh, Pam's here, and some other people are here. Wes, you should start the music.
Fire it up.
But the music won't be on the Zoom call. It's only on the live stream. Unless you share your screen.
All right, well then this is stuff that we should have worked out a half hour ago. Let's just not worry about it. Let's just get right into the show then.
Well, I mean, you can let people in. We're good.
I'll beatbox.
Are we skipping the music then?
Hold on, I'll come in there. I'm posting the link a couple more times, and I'll come in there and I'll play a little bit. We'll
Right there.
Hey Victor, I think we're gonna skip the music intro, which is already over in 1 minute, and go ahead and go with the introductions. I'm still letting people in. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get everybody muted.
I think I posted it everywhere.
Hi, Victor.
Hi, Pam. How are you doing?
I'm good. You know, I think in the email that I got, it was the wrong link.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I found this one on Facebook, but
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, sorry about that. We were just getting settled, so you're good.
Well, I invited a couple of people using the email, so I don't know. That's okay.
Oh, sorry about that. Alrighty then. Are we good to go?
Sorry, Victor, I I was muted.
She muted the whole introduction.
Oh, did anybody hear any of that?
No.
Oh my God.
That's
Okay.
good. You had a
I'm Jess. This is Wes. We're going to hand it from Art Push. We're going to hand it over to Victor, who's the host of the Friday Art Talks.
Well, welcome one and all to our third installment of the Art Talks. And this is a brainchild of Art Push and myself. Art Push being represented at the moment by Jessica and Wes. And so I would really like to welcome you all. And we have a brilliant night tonight with a very good friend of mine. And I would like to introduce Pam, but before I do, I'd just like to talk about how the evening will roll out. So I'm Victor. I'm an East Bay artist and a friend of Jessica and Wes, and that's why we're here. So tonight we will be talking to our guest producer and director, Pam, about her documentary, Shelter in Displacement. The documentary is available anytime to view at FridayArtWalk.com. So you could just hop there and view it after this talk, because it's pretty profound. Not because I'm in it, but because Pam did a very good job with the questions. So we'll see how I fare at that end. The audience will be muted during the interview, and after the interview is over, we'll have an we'll open up for questions. And if you're having any problems technically, please just put it in the chat, and Wes should be able to address that for you. So with that being said, I would like to introduce our guest tonight, who is Pam Uzzell. Am I pronouncing that right, Pam?
Exactly right.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect, great. And an award-winning documentary producer, director, and editor. She has worked on films like The Godfather 3, Terminator 2, and Dead Poets Society. And today we talk about her latest the documentary. I don't know if this is the latest one, but because it's very productive. Oh, great, awesome. Shelter in Displacement. And with that being said, welcome, Pam. And yeah, welcome.
Well, thank you, Victor. Thank you for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to talk with you, and I'm really happy to know about these talks that are going on every second Friday. I had no idea, but now I know what to do with my second Friday of every month.
Oh, brilliant, lovely. So Shelter and Displacement. Just by a show of hands, who had the chance to watch the short documentary? If you know, okay. All right, so it is available on Friday Artwork. I'm asking that question so I can see how to frame the questions that I asked Pam. So what I'll ask Pam firstly is, in this age of isolation, how do you feel as a filmmaker, seeing the world in the state that it is today? What impact has that had on you?
Well, there's so many ways to talk about the impact. From just a really practical sense, it's very challenging now to imagine doing a project, doing a documentary. Documentaries are generally very intimate projects where you often go into someone's home or their place of work. You want to interview them in a setting that's, sort of expresses who they are and lets you know more about them besides just what they're going to say. That's obviously, it's really challenging now. Depending on who you ask, fairly impossible. So from just a real practical point of view, it's really kind of something to wrap your head around. There are a lot of people talking about how do we approach this, and I actually was at a shoot all day today. It was not my shoot, and it was interesting to see how it worked. Being masked and everything, though, there is a layer between you and the person you're interviewing. The camera's very far away, so it's different. And then just in other ways, I think what's interesting is that now more than ever, there are a lot of stories that we should be telling. That was kind of what caused me to reach out to you. I was kind of curious, can you tell an effective documentary if you use a Zoom interview? Um, and then also, I was interested in talking to you because you work with people who are houseless and just the whole idea of everything that someone who's in a home is going through right now, then trying to imagine someone who does not have a home going through that. So I think not just for documentary filmmakers, but for everybody, this whole situation just puts in very stark relief, like some things in our society that are just untenable. So,
Mm. Yeah, I remember when you gave me the call to suggest the idea of the documentary. This was the beginning of Shelter in Place. We had just been told you got to stay at home, and I was in the queue at Berkeley Bowl. So for those who haven't watched the documentary, she basically asked me how it feels to be in this situation, and I work with the unhoused community, and I also taught youth in my prior years. So when Pam asked me, how does it feel? I had this surreal moment where I was back in Zimbabwe, my home country, where we used to queue up for everything in front of the grocery store. And suddenly I was back in a queue, 10,333 miles away from home. So Pam, the question I would ask you is, the inspiration behind it, besides documentaries being intimate, what did you hope to capture in this time with film?
um, God, that's such a good question. I think that I felt two things. I felt very a little bit panicky because I thought this is going to change everything. Um, how do you make a story if you can't go sit with that person? And I also very naively felt like it wouldn't last very long. I don't know what I imagined a pandemic to be like, but I kind of imagined it would just sort of like come through, maybe a little bit more like maybe what Italy or Spain went through. Not that they're out of the woods yet, but that it would come through quickly, it would be very intense, and then that it would be sort of trying to get back to normal. And what I never imagined was this very, very prolonged kind of torturous um, thing that we're in now. But what I really wanted was to make a connection. And that's sort of why I reached out to you, because I was really enjoying your posts on Instagram, and they always made me feel a little bit better and a little bit less disconnected. And I thought, well, who do I know that I think could come across on Zoom? Because Zoom is even like, it's we're all here looking at each other through screens, and it's even more distant. So I thought, okay, who would I like to just hear from first of all? So, I just thought, well, maybe Victor would be willing to talk to me to do this. And then the challenge became, how do I find images to go with this? Because I can't go to Victor's house. You gave me your paintings, your images of your paintings, which is what really brings this piece to life. Otherwise, the piece would not be as, it wouldn't be um, very appealing, because people always say to me when they watch it, I love his work. Oh, I love his work. So that's really what kind of draws people in. But I went with another filmmaker, Morgan Schmidt Fang, and we went out just to go shoot some footage. And that's when I sort of looked and saw, just how horrible it felt and eerie to be on this empty street, except for people who didn't have homes. Unhoused people, when we're all supposed to be inside and they are not inside. They are still kind of going about that. And it's not that I don't notice houseless people in my everyday life, but it was really just kind of shocking when everyone else is off the street. And so those things are sort of what we had talked about, and those images really felt like they went together.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I think the word for me in this discussion is intimacy. And
Mm,
the one thing I noticed when the pandemic hit was how much we need each other, how much of a net we are, how
yeah,
connected we are. And
yeah,
it just struck me how I naturally gravitated towards other people, as if almost to want to hug or hold them, be they strangers or people I knew. And,
right.
and so for me, when you reached out, it really struck me as an honor because
Mm.
it's just me, right? It's just me. Who wants to do a documentary about me? But what I'd like to mention is that here we are now talking about it. Here we are now connecting in various different with various different people from different backgrounds, all through your work. So
Mm.
seeing the life of the documentary now, how does that make you feel, and what have you realized from the growth of the documentary?
Ah, well, that's interesting because I think one thing that has been really nice for me is that my initial desire to make a connection, it does feel like that this was a way to do this. And I'm not just saying this to flatter you. I've had colleagues from my work and all kinds of people reaching out to me and saying, I really like the artist that you're featuring. I really like his work. And that's always just a really, really gratifying feeling when you feel excited about something and then you make it into some sort of art piece, in this case a video, and then other people get excited about it too. You do feel like, yeah, like we've connected somehow through this project. And it's been interesting. You and I, not too long ago, went to that outdoor screening um, of this film, and that was really that was a great experience. It was freezing cold. Everybody was there, kind of bundled up, and watching outdoors projected against the side of this building in West Oakland, and there were a lot of films there around the same theme of being unsheltered, being houseless at this time. And I learned so much, and I learned again, I felt like, oh, this is this topic that's really important to me. And I was able to see what all these different people are doing right now, which amazed me, quite frankly. Um, how this Bay Area community advocates for itself, fights for itself, and takes care of each other.
Beautiful.
So it's been great. It's been great. Things like this can always open up doors and make connections with people who care about things that you care about as well.
Absolutely. Um, Now the beauty of it is this is a community of artists we're talking to, and
Mm,
I've known Jess and Wes for close to 6 years now,
mm,
and it was one of the first. I think it was the first gallery I actually showed at. So, um, and my point in that is that I'm now seeing how my network is beginning to fuse and gel. You coming into this space, and they knowing who you are, and so the question would be, when you look at artists in this time, what has been your experience when you see artists going through this? Not just me, but just generally.
mm. Well, uh, I have to just go back and say, um, what's amazing to me is how productive some people are being, um, but also, again, like I feel like artists are really reaching out to support one another. And that's not surprising, but I don't think it's something I've ever really thought about before, how much people are willing to, um, even more than before, promote other people's work, um, share resources, share information. And for me, it's really brought into focus a community of artists, which I knew existed, but I didn't always have the means to know everyone, especially, I know a lot of filmmakers, but I don't necessarily know painters or sculptors or other types of artists. And I've I've never really imagined myself as being part of that community, whereas now I feel like I am much more, and I also feel not that I'm happy that we all have to be sitting at home, but this did free up a lot of time for me, which has allowed me to make more connections. And for that one part, I am grateful for this time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And the life of the documentary, do you want to talk about where it was accepted?
Yeah. I finished it, and then I saw actually the person who helped me gather shoot all the images, Morgan Schmidt Fang. He had collected a lot of videos made during this shelter in place, and he sent me a link saying that the De Young was going to accept art from local filmmakers, or not local filmmakers, local artists. And when they opened, there was going to be a show featuring local artists. And so I submitted it, and was really excited to see that it got accepted. So that's going to be, um, I mean, I don't know if that's the next place it's going to show, because I don't know when the De Young is ever going to open again. But one day when they open, it will be there in a show with a lot of other artists. And then again, that was another way to meet with a lot of different artists, because all of a sudden I started getting these, oh, congratulations, my work's going to show there too. And, from people who I just don't think I would normally seek out, you know? And it started making me feel like, oh, I do have painters and comic artists and all these other people in my community. So I'm excited about it. I can't wait for the show. I just imagine like just this crazy thing of all these different types of art, because they accepted so many different mediums and or media, and I am really excited to see what it looks like, and to be in a space seeing it. But I have to go back, even seeing it projected against this wall was wonderful. Just being out with other people and enjoying art, it was really great.
Awesome. Well, I brought that up because one of our own, Yolanda Cotton Turner, is also in the show.
Oh,
So,
it's so cool.
that's such a beautiful thing. And my wish, my dream is that you two connect, because Yolanda is doing some really profound work that's opening doors in terms of our history.
Oh, wow.
And the last talk we had, she had a brilliant. Jess, is that available online somewhere where Pam could find it? The last discussion. Yeah. Well, you're muted, but I guess you say yes.
It's on the website, the same place
Okay.
that the link is, FridayArtWalk.com, and you
Okay.
go there, you'll find it.
Oh,
All of
good.
our archive shows are there, actually.
Okay.
Awesome.
Can I just ask what is a little bit about your art piece that's in the show, Yolanda?
It's 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 a lithograph off of limestone. The imagery is the breakfast program for the Black Panthers in the forefront, and in the background, it's the Bay Area and the ships and the shipyards and gantry cranes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's very exciting. I will
Yeah.
definitely look around for it. I'm sure do you have it like on Instagram or Facebook or someplace like an
Yeah,
image
I
of it?
sure do. We'll connect. We'll connect
Okay.
and I'll send it to
Okay.
you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds
Beautiful.
great.
Beautiful. This is one of the things I hope would happen, that people would connect, and not just connect here on Zoom, but carry on the conversation after the
Yeah.
discussion. So while we open up the questions, is there any way that we could show the film on Zoom, or is that too complicated technically? Wes?
It's just somebody has to share their screen while it's showing.
Got you.
And the rest of us should mute our mics.
Okay.
Okay,
So
hold on
Wes,
just a minute,
Wes,
and I'll pull it up.
okay, awesome. So with that being said, I don't want to hog too much of the limelight. I'm sorry that most of you hadn't seen the film because it's kind of out of context to talk about it without you having seen it. But nonetheless, it's such a pleasure and an honor for me to be surrounded by amazing creative people and my dear friend Pam in the same space. So at this juncture, I would just like to open up the floor if you've got any questions for Pam, or if you'd like to talk about something that moved you during this period of displacement, where we are displaced into our own homes. So with that being said, I'll open up the...
I'm about to share the screen and
Oh, awesome.
we'll watch the movie real quick.
Awesome.
Okay, it's short. It's 5
really
minutes.
short. It's,
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. While she does that, I'll just keep you entertained. I actually taught Pam's daughter, Allegra, and it was one of the most educating periods of my life, because she taught me how to see things totally differently. And her gentle demeanor just slowed me down in the classroom, so that I made sure that I was heard as much as she was heard. And so, anyway, here we go.
Four weeks into the mandatory shelter in place, I went with a friend to shoot footage on the mostly deserted streets. Somehow, without all the hustle and bustle, the inequality that we live with in our communities. The difference is one that works better for everyone. I reached out to a friend of mine who works with those affected by homelessness. I asked his permission to record our conversation.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can. How are you?
Let me see if I can get my video from. Okay.
Okay.
It's a powerful thing to acknowledge the moment and live through this particular moment. Every morning I ask myself what's important, and what do I really care about? What matters?
I'm currently working with Downtown Streets team. We work with those impacted by homelessness. What we do is give them a platform where they can begin to rebuild their lives, better their lives. Working with the unhoused population, you realize that empathy is a given in that community, because they know the struggles their friends and have gone through. It's easier to empathize and to be a system of support to that community you have, because that's all we have. That's all we truly have, is community.
I first knew you though as an artist. You were my daughter's art teacher. When did you start making art?
I clearly remember I think I was 3 or 4 years old. Yeah, and my mother was getting ready to for work, so she was getting dressed in a nurse's uniform, and I remember it was the white, well-ironed, pristine, and I was in a way that morning, and she pulled out a piece of paper and gave me a pencil and said, "Draw a picture of your dad," and that was it for me. I was hooked. That was, I found my place right there, and art became my life. Coming to America, I got my citizenship in 2017, and it was sobering because they tell you you're American now. So am I African American? Not really, as many African Americans have told me. I'm an African in America. But by the same token, I can't even say I'm African anymore because I haven't lived on the continent in close to 10 years. We live in a world where everybody gets up and they're off to their job, their community becomes their workmates. And if you're not within that stream, you're on the sidelines. For me, art is a safety net. I know if push comes to shove, all I have to do is paint for 6 hours and I'll be fine. People have asked me, how do you talk to homeless people? Ask the question again, How do you talk to people? What matters most? If there was one important thing you would highlight, what would it be in this time? Those neighbors we never used to talk to, suddenly we yearn for them. What does that mean? I hope during this time also people are taking time to say, where am I? What am I doing? But then again, we mustn't forget those who are so deep in their traumatic experiences that even that question is unattainable to them. Thank you for that. Thank you, Pam. And thanks to Wes for putting that together. So I won't say much. I'll leave it up to the audience for any questions you might have for Pam or myself.
Are you?
Any questions?
If anybody has a question, just raise their hand and I'll unmute you.
Yeah, David has a question.
How long did it take you to make that? That's very powerful.
Oh, thank you. Well, it actually took probably longer than it should because Victor and we actually talked a total of 2 hours because we just talked about many different things. And so there was a lot to edit down, but once I kind of got what I wanted to say, I knew it had to be short because I was going to put it with this other collection of films and they wanted things that were about 5 minutes. And the hardest part was sort of narrowing down that 2 hours to 5 minutes. But then after doing that, I don't know, the rest fell into place. So maybe a couple of weeks of just doing a lot of revisions and, doing a lot of polishing, trying to find the right images to go with the words that I picked out. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, David. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yep.
What was what is the ultimate goal of the short film? What do you want to happen from making it? And a follow-up is, with following the words of Shelter in Displacement, are you thinking about solutions for displacement and what's the next step?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what I wanted to ask.
Yeah, well, I am definitely not an expert on solutions. I think of solutions all the time. Um, I actually, I am really not sure why the state and has supposedly rented so many hotel rooms and people are still on the streets. Um, I'm very impressed with some local organizations who have found hotel rooms for people who are on the streets. And I also feel like this pandemic has showed us that we have the flexibility to not necessarily use all of the office and commercial spaces that we have. So I think we can rethink a lot of different spaces that are really underutilized. And I also feel, though, that there are some major systemic problems which we're all aware of. For one thing, federal funding for subsidized housing is pretty much dried up. And so, not just here in the Bay Area, we have to get very serious about this idea that housing is a human right. Um, and we also have to really get serious about the idea that people need a living wage, not just a minimum wage, but a living wage. That people who are becoming billionaires because they underpay their workers, that's just not going to be tolerated. There are other societies where CEOs are only allowed to make um, a certain amount higher than their average employee, and those societies function very well. There's no reason why we could not have a similar society. So I think sort of we do have to address that housing is a human right, but then we also just have to address the inequity in our society in terms of salary, in terms of just accumulated wealth, I think. And I don't have the solutions to that, but when I made this film, I really did have this moment. Again, this was like 2 weeks after we'd gone into shelter in place, and it was so shocking to me. And even having the conversation with Victor, it sort of felt like, wow, we're really going to learn something from this happening. And the further we go into it, I go back and forth. I think a lot of people learned something, but on the other hand, the wealthiest people in this country have gotten even wealthier, while so many millions of people have lost their livelihoods. They're potentially going to lose their homes, even and create even this whole other segment of the population who's unhoused. So I'm not sure how when I first made the film, my real idea was like, this is so shocking and we're going to really, really learn something. And 6 months later, well, 6 months later, you see that people are taking to the streets to try and get themselves heard. So I don't think just the shock of a pandemic and having to be isolated and that sort of thing really changed very much on its own. But I do think that a lot of the protests we're seeing, which I think will spill into demands for housing and other things, are coming from the fact that what else are people going to do? What is left if you've lost your livelihood, if the government is not doing anything to help people, what else are you going to do but begin to go out and demand change? So That doesn't really answer your question, but but when I made the film, I was just so hopeful. I just really thought, oh, we're going to learn this is going to change our entire society completely. I really felt that at that time.
Okay.
Thanks, Pat.
Thank you.
Yolanda,
Yeah, Yolanda had her hand up. Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Pam.
Hi.
First of all, Jessica, that was a really good question. That was a good question. Yeah. Pam, how were you able to get past your own reactions, your emotional, situation, how you were emotionally in order to do the work?
Doing the work is what enabled me to get past my own emotions.
Okay.
There's nothing
Yeah.
better than having work to do. And I'm not saying that not working is also good. Sort of just sitting with something is also really, really good. But
Yeah.
also having work that you feel like you really want to do or you need to do that's a great way to get past something. So
Yeah.
yeah, this kind of pulled me out of maybe a bit of a shock and funk. Was like, oh, I'm gonna make this short film, and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I know me, myself, I had a hard time getting past my reaction to everything
yeah,
and seeing everything that was going on. It was just, I, I just want, I was just wanted to be like, oh, and then I was angry and
yeah.
I don't know. It was just really hard to get through that emotion to do something productive for me.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know. I experience many days like that too. And
Yeah.
I think the first little while, again, I thought this was going to be a short time. So I was like, I should just read books and
Right.
do all this stuff. And then after a while, it's like, this is just not ending anytime soon. So I can't just lie on my sofa and read books for the rest of the time,
Yeah.
probably. It's probably not a good thing to do. But I have those days all the time too. I think it's really, I don't know. I would love to meet someone who doesn't have those days ever. I mean, I think I have one friend who doesn't, but yeah. Can I say really
Yeah.
quickly? I have an old friend from high school who's on. Hi, Patrick. He's down there. Patrick Johnson.
Hey Pam, how?
Oh, beautiful.
I'm yeah, Patrick is too bad he's
Hey
not.
Pam, can you hear me?
I can. I'm so happy to see your name on the little
Oh,
square.
oh, thank you. So good to see you. I'm so glad I got a chance to stop in and see this meeting.
Oh, well, it's so great to have
Sorry
you
I joined
here.
late.
That's okay. It's just great that you're here. Yeah. Yeah. Patrick and I have actually seen each other a few times over the years, because he and his family used to come to the Bay Area a lot. And so we have been able to reconnect over time, but it's been a few years now, so it's just very, very nice to hear your voice, Patrick.
Thank you, and likewise.
Thanks.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I've got some tie-ups to do because there's a beautiful train coming through. So I will expose that train after Sage poses the question.
Oh,
Sage,
hi.
please go ahead.
You're still muted.
You're muted. Host, could we unmute Sage?
Oh, now she's unmuted.
Here, I'm unmuted. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. Dave and I are right next to each other. We were getting the echo. My question was, when you made this film, like you've said a couple times, you were expecting everything to be kind of over relatively soon. And you didn't foresee it being, I mean, we're 6 months in and you can't see the end in sight. Have you thought about making a follow-up film that kind of covers similar concepts of what you were looking for in back then, but now where we've seen, environmental disasters, civil unrest, as well as the pandemic and everything?
That's a great question. I do have a film in mind.
Can't hear you.
Oops.
Oh, never mind.
Can you hear me? Yeah. I do have a film in mind. It's not really a follow-up film, and I think it would take me a while to get it done. I have to say, in terms of the environmental disasters, I know people who are making films about that, and my hat is off to them. To me, it's like it's overwhelming, and I'm not really even sure. I'm a very kind of independent and often extremely low budget filmmaker, and usually it works for me if I have like a, a a character that I connect with or a story that I really get connected with, and I would love to do something about um, the environment, and I am not that hasn't really presented itself yet to me, but I love that other people are. I do have an idea. I'd like to do a film about white women. The whole Karen phenomenon has been really interesting to me. And I grew up in the South. Um, Patrick and I have had brief conversations about what our high school was like. But I also feel I kind of would like to focus on the Bay Area Karens. I mean, there are a lot of really, really crazy um, Karens in other parts of the world, but I feel like it also is connected to displacement and to gentrification. And a lot of it is about who belongs in certain spaces and who doesn't. Um, and also not trying to be, I mean, I'm also trying to, it makes you do a lot of soul searching if you are a white woman, and also like some of the videos, like the one of Amy Cooper in Central Park, where you have to really kind of reckon with, okay, what is the history of white women of endangering other people and using that privilege as a way to endanger other people? So it hasn't really come together in my mind, but I feel like, especially the Bay Area Karens, it is related to displacement, and this idea of kind of policing who belongs where. So that's something I thought of, but it's really very much a thought in my mind. It's not anywhere else yet.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Oh, I love that idea. That's really cool.
You should help me.
I'd be happy to.
Really? Because oh, thanks, Patrick. I need help. That's the other thing too, is that I don't want to do this by myself, because I feel like it's something that a lot of people need to weigh in on. And so yes, if you want to connect with me and you feel like helping in any way, I need help.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
be happy to talk to you about it further and discuss what I could do to help. Because that is a fascinating topic for me, the Karens and the male version, we call them Kens or Kevins. I can't
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting, and like you said, as a white woman, you have to. I don't know. I'm at a loss for words. I can't put myself in that position of why ever being that way. But then you also want to make sure you aren't blind to doing it inadvertently.
Oh yeah.
No,
I know. That's exactly how I feel too. I feel like I see these women on video and I'm just like, stop, stop. Why can't you stop? Just stop. And then I think, oh my gosh, I mean, there, but for the grace of God, go I, of like maybe feeling like I have the right to tell people what to do, where they should be, what they should not be doing, and it's just it's a uncomfortable mirror,
Mm-hmm.
a very uncomfortable mirror.
Oh, that's a beautiful segue into. We're 10 minutes into it, and Jess and Wes will have an announcement at the end. But I'd just like to talk about the mirror image, the uncomfortable mirror you presented, Pam, because as you were speaking, I was thinking about mirror neurons. What happens in the brain, I guess most of you know this, is that when we see people doing something, our brain mirrors that. So if it's a white women's story, my brain mirrors a black man's story. You see, so it's so beautiful that this discussion has brought that to the light. But also to tag on to Jess's question, what's your intention with this film? I liked your answer, Pam, when you spoke with Yolanda, to say that the work got you out of the funk. So. And usually when I do my work, sometimes I'm blind to it. I don't even know what the purpose of the work is. Like now, it's now in a short film. I had no idea it was going there. So it's beautiful to see us share ideas about how to get out of the funk, and I hope we stay connected to just say, hey, I'm in a funk. And we can talk each other out, which is what I hinted to, that it's all about community. If you're isolated, that's when you begin to deteriorate. And last month, we had a beautiful discussion with Yolanda and Zoe, and we talked about Cheryl. And Yolanda was busy going out saying to artists, apply for this, apply for this, apply for this. Then Sherry, who is up in the corner, said to Yolanda, well, have you applied? And Yolanda did apply. She got in. So here we see people doing their work. Sherry's work is motivation. She motivates. And by the way, she owns the one of the paintings in the film. So yay to go. So it's beautiful to see people doing their work. Here we are talking about race, talking about the unhoused population, talking about artists, all because of a short film Pam did from the love of doing her work. And it's beautiful to see the connections that are coming from that. And I just hope that they carry on. My wish for tonight, is that we can find a way to help to get Pam to do a documentary about some of the people in our community, because we have some amazing people in our community who have captured history, who are thought leaders, who are just beautiful human beings, and I think that's the essence of this period, to see how beautiful we are as human beings. So without hogging it too much, I would like to open the floor for 2 more questions. Please try to make them brief so that we, at 8:28, you can tell I'm from a British colony, we can pass it over to Jess and Wes so they can make an announcement. I will open it up for 2 more questions. Yes, David.
This is kind of a quick self-plug. You said you need help. I am all kind of new to this, but one of my talents is voiceover narration stuff. I would love to be a part of anything where you could use my talents.
Okay.
This is a Pat Uzzell film. I also do a lot of character voices.
That's a very good talent. Yes.
I'd love to connect with you on that. Thank you.
Okay. That sounds great.
Beautiful. Will we have time for one more question or comment? Yes, Sherry.
Question. Is anyone else chiming in?
Yeah, Cheryl would like to say something.
I just wanted to comment on this whole theme of artists being able to connect with other artists. And to me, art is the medium we're using, this whole, to really build community. And I think the power of art, right now in particular, where we're seeing it everywhere, people are like Jess and Wes and Sarah and all the other artists who are just painting and expressing everything that people are feeling. And when you drive by or you walk by, I think the impact of that is so much more powerful than you can ever really imagine. You know, just those little things like you mentioned, I make a little comment and look what happens, you know. Well, that is happening over and over and over and over again. And I just think we just don't realize the impact and the power of art in the moment. So I just wanted to mention that. So your film is very moving, and like you say, you do it just because it's what you have to do right now. Right. I'm writing a book. I'm in the same area. I'm just going into my book and I'm feeling like I'm not doing anything. I'm not expressing anything about what's going on now, but I'm putting my heart and soul into that project. So, you know, art is just the power that we need right now. So I just wanted to just really appreciate all of the efforts that everybody is making, and just to really know that, you know, there is magic in this mystery.
That is so true. That's really, really true. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I almost kicked myself when I suggested these art talks to Jess and Wes, because Friday night I'm tired. I don't want to talk to anybody, and I said, why did I even bring it up? But each time we begin the discussions, I just get so energized, so jazzed, and I forget how empowering to the self it is to hear other people speak of what they do and what they love. And just to have a community like this that's so positive and responsive is a blessing, is a gift. So I'd like to say thank you all for coming through and supporting this. Please do spread the word that every second Friday we have this. The film is also available on Friday Art Walk. And like I said, Jess and Wes, my wish is that we could somehow find a way for Pam to do films about our community.
Yeah.
With that being said, we've got a minute if anybody wants to make a comment or pose a question. All right, going once, going twice, sold to the host. Okay. Oh, is there a mailing list for these talks?
Yolanda raised her hand.
It's in the chat. Is there a mailing list for the talks? You're muted.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Sorry, I unmuted Yolanda. She had a question. Is there a place for what?
Yeah, there's a mailing list on FridayArtWalk.com. You can
Friday
sign.
Art
Oh, yeah, sorry. Okay, and are we gonna allow Yolanda to make her last comment?
Yes.
Pam, I'm realizing that I'm in my studio and I have that piece right here on the wall behind me, right there.
Oh, I wish I. Okay.
Yeah. If you can see that.
I can.
Yeah.
I can see the foreground with the children and the. Is that the breakfast? Like the.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that is so beautiful. Wow.
Yeah. And then I should have submitted this one too, but I didn't do this one. Do you remember in the 90s, there was like this big movement with the leather medallion that people would wear with Africa on it?
Oh, I don't.
Well, that's what this is, but this is the United States.
Wow.
And it's kind of flipped backwards in that medallion.
Wow.
So, yeah. But I just wanted to show you that. I realized it was right behind me. So
that is really, really.
But we'll still connect.
Amazing. Yes. Yes. I can't wait to see it not through a Zoom screen. Yeah.
All righty then. It's 8:29. Sorry, it's hard to get away from old patterns, but I'm a stickler for time. And we did say it until 8:30, so we'll leave these guys to do their announcement. Jess and Wes, please step in.
Sure. Hey guys, so we just want to let you know that we're getting ready to do an East Bay art book. It's going to be a collection of art from artists in the East Bay, and we're looking for submissions now until September 30th. So if you know any artists, help us get the word out. We want to make this book as awesome as possible. If you want more details, you can go to artpush.org, and there's more information there. I think, and I just wanted to add to what everybody else said, the only connection right now I'm getting to other artists is through Zoom and through this, really. And actually, we're starting a Zoom art meetup too tomorrow. But I am the same way, you know, I can easily become a hermit and not talk to anybody. And I think, like Pam was saying, you know, I've got my books to read. I've got like all these different things that I've got planned out. But one thing that really breaks me out of that is getting together. And if this is the only way we can do it, then you know, I'm all in, because it literally changes everything about how I'm feeling after I've engaged in a talk with everybody. And it's motivating, and it's just good to connect with other people. You know, I just don't get enough of it in the last 6 months. And I'm not a person or a people person. And I'm even like, you know, talking to whoever will listen to me, you know, the mailman. I miss the connection, like everybody else does. So I don't know. Do you have anything you want to add?
I just want to thank Pam and Victor for, you know, giving us such a wonderful interview. It was enlightening and very enjoyable. And I really want to thank everybody who came and showed up. It's really nice. You know, this is like Jess was saying, there isn't a lot of social interaction happening, especially with artists. I don't want to have, you know, social interaction. I mean, you know, I have social interaction with the guy at the grocery store, fine. But I want to see my artist friends.
Yeah.
So, you know, I appreciate this. And I think that we should, as we wrap up, we'll just kind of unmute everybody too. And then if
Oh yeah, well, and just so you know, all this show and every show is posted on FridayArtWalk.com. All Yolanda's information is there if you want to reach out to her. The last movie or podcast, or what do we call this? I don't even know. Artist Talk we did.
Friday Art Talk.
Yeah, Friday Art Talk that we did was with Yolanda, and so that's on there. And
we're thinking about trying to turn this into a podcast.
Is
that something
happen.
I don't know.
We'll see what happens.
Maybe we'll see.
All right, so I'm going to unmute everybody so
it's
chaos
just be a
can
madhouse.
ensue. Exactly. So, okay, allow participants to unmute themselves.
Oh,
Okay.
You unchecked it.
I don't, well, hold on. What? No, that's mute all.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Oh, okay. Is there a way to unmute all?
It's unmuted it now.
Everybody unmute themselves.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
It was very fun. Thank you for inviting me.
It was good.
Yeah, thanks
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thanks for hosting this. Pam, so great to see you.
You too,
Take care,
Patrick.
everyone.
Let's connect. Okay.
How do
Sounds
I
good.
connect
Will
with
do.
you?
You can go to the website, FridayArtWalk.com, and everybody's information is on the page.
Oh, thank you.
We publish everybody's personal home address and phone number. No.
Pam, I don't know if
so
you can.
much, Pam. That was
I put my email address in the chat.
I saved the chat, so
Awesome.
hopefully I've got it.
and this
Yes.
is all recorded. This will be up actually by tomorrow. So
We were live streaming it to Facebook too.
yeah.
Well, I just want to say that if anybody's got ideas about art talks that you'd like us to cover, please let us know so that we make this a community effort. It just doesn't have to come from us. You know,
If you'd like to get involved with one, be interviewed or interview somebody or know somebody.
Know somebody, yeah.
I mean, you know, because we're looking for interesting things to do. Victor's been just really taking up the lead and delivering such great events. This is what, the third one? Is this the third one you've done? So, you know, and he's basically carrying the whole thing. You know, we just kind of set it up and let him go, and he brings in these wonderful guests, and you know, he's always amazing. But we don't want to make him bear the brunt of the whole thing. So if anybody can, you know, you got ideas, let's just get together and talk about them. So feel free to hit us up on the FridayArtWalk.com website or on Facebook. Most of you are friends with us on Facebook. So, you know, if you got some cool art stuff, let's talk about it.
Absolutely. And by cool art stuff, like Cheryl said, art is about doing you, you know. Right now we're engaged in an art form, which is conversation. You know, none of us are talking the same. You know, we create our conversation in our own style, in the way we've seen it created. So it doesn't matter what you want to bring up. I think we bought the lie that you got to be special. You know, I think we are all special. You know,
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah, this is fantastic. I still can't believe somebody made a movie of me.
That's awesome.
I can believe
About time, Victor.
Can you believe it? You know, so yeah, we want to see you. We want to know you. We want to connect with you on a deeper level. And this is a beautiful platform to do it, because we've got lovely people, supportive community, and why not? You know, other people have podcasts. Why not us? Right? All right. With that being said, this is Kate.
Victor, I have to tell you, I'm feeling a little bit guilty about having your wonderful painting of your father. I'm thinking I should donate it back to you. This
Oh,
doesn't
no.
seem right. You know, I'm looking at your picture of your father, right?
I don't know that it is his father. I think I took poetic license.
My father. That's
What
not
is
my
this?
father.
Oh, it's not.
Quick history of that. That was in Allegra's class, actually. I was demonstrating how to paint to the kids. Yeah. And it's my pleasure that you have it, because with me, it was gathering dust, you know.
Okay.
So,
well, I love it.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I'm happy.
It's in a protected spot out of the sun. I'm looking at it now. I'm thinking it needs a better frame, is what I'm thinking.
It's in a featured spot in the house.
Yes, absolutely.
Sorry, Howie?
Oh, I just said it's in a featured, very visible place.
I took it away from the sun. I'm thinking it needs a much better frame. I love that picture, that painting.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Oh.
Lucky me.
Yeah.
All right. As the host, I'm not supposed to lose my composure, but I'm teary-eyed now.
We bought it before he was famous.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I better stop buying paintings back now.
I didn't know there ever was a time when Victor wasn't famous.
I know. I think he came out that way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm just like you.
I
want you to believe in yourselves. Well,
famous people, they're just like us.
Oh, ye mortals.
My book is all about difference and how universal it is.
Wow.
I mean, that's the paradox, isn't it? You know,
wow.
The thing that each of us are different, and that's a universal experience.
Wow.
That's the most common denominator.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. It is. And it's the most wonderful thing, the diversity of nature, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm loving these tangents, but I feel like Victor's about to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Well, before I wrap it up, I'd just like to talk about infinite differentiation. That means every leaf is different. Every blade of grass is different.
Exactly.
And every human being is different. And what we'd like to see at these art talks is that diversity and differentiation. So once again, it's a call out to say, bring yourself out to the art talk, and let's feature you next time. Let's feature your friend. You know, let's feature your neighbor who you think is amazing. And just celebrate ourselves as human beings. There we go. I mean, look at that sketch right there. We want to see stuff like that, you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
I am a cartoonist that I gotta thank Wes and Jess for encouraging me to be a part of this. Thank you.
Oh, very nice.
That's what it's about. So once again, thank you so much, Pam. And I
Thank
am more than
you.
honored. And it's such a pleasure to have you here. And the universe has blessed me with a wonderful friend.
Same here. Same here. Yeah.
Yeah, so thanks so much for that. Jess and Wes, you know, I love you guys. And
Thank
you're
you.
the first two people
Amen.
connected within America. And you opened it up to all this. So with that being said, I say thank you. Where's the red button?
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Thanks,
Night.
everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Victor.